What's up guys, my name is Jake Towell and welcome back to my art series where I share with you guys some pieces I've made throughout my career. Today we have a really short, small piece, nothing too crazy, but nonetheless something absolutely sick, and I'm super excited to be sharing this one with you guys today. 2 weeks ago I dropped the first episode of my comic book series. That is the best video on this channel so far, so I really appreciate all the love and support on that video. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. But today we are talking about this piece, a really sick piece. I love the colors in this one. I love the design and all the small little details, which of course we'll get to in the fully rendered image towards the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned. So without further ado, I present you guys with Viper Chain Mace. Again, not the most insane piece I've ever created if you've seen my videos before, but nonetheless something that is designed, illustrated, colored super well, and definitely one of my favorites compositionally wise. So let's get right into the sketch phase. So I'm doing this new thing where when I talk about the sketch and the line work phase, I'll have an actual time lapse of the sketch and the line work going on to the right, as you can see on screen right now. I just thought of that idea. I thought it was really cool. Just gives you a little bit more to look at, as well as how I came up with this idea. Usually in the beginning of the sketch phases, it won't even be the illustration that I'm doing. It's me just trying to throw stuff on a blank canvas and try to figure out. So definitely leave a like if you guys enjoyed the time lapse on the right. But as for the sketch phase, super clean. I mean, again, it's not the most insanely filling composition as I usually do, so I knew exactly what I wanted to do. You can see the line work is super solid. Everything is well placed out, except for the chain above the actual mace ball. I think that erase was actually a mistake somehow, or maybe I was moving the ball around. I made this a couple years ago, so I'm not actually entirely sure, but it looked like I had the idea down and I knew where things were going to be placed, so it was just a matter of figuring it out in the line work phase. And speaking of the line work phase, let's get right into the line work. Okay, yeah, super clean. You can see we added some more chains to the top and the right side. We figured out how that chain connects to the mace ball at the bottom left, as well as filling and fitting the whole illustration in the composition. I really love to make sure I use all the space and make sure everything's spaced out really nicely without any tangents. So I'm using as much optimal area as possible to create the most visually interesting composition as possible. And the line work here is really clean. I think for the first time ever, you kind of see following up into the snake wrapping around the mace hilt is this really small line going up into his mouth, which we can get to in the fully rendered if you don't see what I'm talking about. And that's kind of the first time I used a small brush. I tend to use the same sized brush no matter how far something is, how close something is. But I think I needed that snake split into two, and I didn't want to use the thick brush like I usually use. It wouldn't have worked, so I have this little squiggly line following up. But overall, the line work super clean, fits the composition perfectly. Without further ado, my favorite part of the video, let's get into the fully rendered image. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Viper Chain Mace. It looks so sick. Again, the colors in this one are probably one of my favorite color combinations in a composition I've made to date. But yeah, this is Viper Chain Mace. If you didn't know, this is like a mace from the medieval times. So let's talk about the hilt here. There's a lot of really sick stuff going on within the hilt here. Starting at the bottom, we have this like nasty witch mummy finger hand at the bottom. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fingers on this hand at the bottom of the hilt. And around the hand is these loops, you know, these rings wrapping around the fingers, in the palm there, around the nails. And we have a really cool like double coloration for the top of the fingernails there with that green and rusty color, which just looks really nice with that really green nasty hand at the bottom of the hilt. Moving up into the hilt, you can actually see it's hollow, and on the inside there's this like red bloody venom. And you can see the back end of the snake is actually starting inside the venom tube there, wrapping around the hilt once or twice there, behind, up and around, and you can see that snake head wrapping up, actually producing that venomous blood out of this pointy aspect of the top of the hilt there, giving this mace a little bit more deadly attribute to its overall deadly mystical build here. We have this really cool skull kind of housed in the center of this hilt, which just kind of furthers the depth and the weaponry of it, I think, and it just looks really nice and also follows those same combinations as the nail color down there. If it overall just brings it all together. I also really like the metal colors that I chose here. This like really mutish blue color with this vibrant purple and vibrant blue, and it kind of matches that chain mace, which we'll get to at the end there. But again, the colors with the yellow and the green just look super sick, especially with the red. At the top of the hilt, we have this really cool blade. Super sick details, really creative blade style. This thing definitely can do a lot of damage. And just overall, that's the hilt, and it looks so sick. Coming out of the hilt, of course, of a chain mace is the chains, and I went for a more rectangular shaped chain here. And again, following the theme of 2 weeks ago episode from Cranium Combustion, this really cool teal with this really cool yellow color combination for the chains. And you can see every couple of links is a mini mace. So we have this giant mace ball at the end, of course, but I wanted to include smaller chain balls within the chain itself. And what's cool about these smaller chain balls is they're also alive like the big mace, and they're getting hooked by those rings, but also holding this weapon together. And here we have a lot of blood aspects coming from these chain balls, which just further the composition and look really, really cool. So we got a blood dripping down onto the chains here, more blood dripping down on the chains here. You can see the eye colors actually vary every element as well, pulling a lot of inspiration from that Cranium Combustion piece. Again, if you haven't seen that episode, definitely go check that out. It's one of my favorites. So we follow the chain up, around, up, goes off the composition, back onto the composition. We have another chain guy here. We have another sporadic chain part there. Blood dripping down into the next layer of chains, onto the other chain ball, also bleeding down, up and around, into the last chain ball, into the actual attachment to the complete chain mace weapon at the bottom, the chain ball, which looks so sick. For a very small amount of time, this was actually my profile picture. There's a little too much going on in this chain ball, not for this composition, but for a profile picture. That's why mine is what it is now. But there's so many sick details in this. I really love the blue with the orange spikes on the chain ball, kind of just breaking it away from it being just one solid element like metal, or even the same element as the chains. Also making a comparison with that colored line to those nails, the skull, and other chain balls there. We have a really sick, of course, Jake styled mouth in the middle of this chain ball. Wouldn't have it any other way. Blood dripping down the middle into the mouth, all the way down around those teeth. And look at all those teeth jammed in that mouth. Looks super, super sick. Again, having that colored line like the nails and the skull there. I think the pink mouth actually brings this mace ball so much more to life and looks really sick. We have some rings going down, up and around, as you know if you've seen videos on this channel. So you can see this is a very mystical, interesting, articulate, dangerous mace weapon here. And there you have it, guys. Viper chain mace. Probably one of the most colorful and vibrant compositions that I've made up until this point. And I really hope you guys enjoyed, because it looks so, so sick. If you want prints of this piece, of course, in the description down below is my store. Go cop some prints and many other pieces that I did talk about on this channel and what I haven't yet talked about on this channel. I really appreciate you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, of course, leave a like, leave a comment down below what your favorite aspect of this piece was. And I try to post every week, if not every 2 weeks. So if you would consider subscribing, that would really, really help me out. Again, I appreciate you guys for making it this far. I appreciate you for checking out this video as well as blowing up that last video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.